you want to make sure that what you're practicing in your offices, whether it's a home office or a business location somewhere out in a commercial property, that you really try to focus on optimizing your network. So with optimizing your network, you want to make sure that your TMS system is up to date. It provides you with the gadgets, widgets, and whatever else you want to call them with exactly what you need. So whether your TMS system has load matching or it's a digital dashboard, or has integrated shipment tracking or trailer tracking, or product tracking, if you want to market that to your customers, just make sure that you have all the tools that are needed, and to be able to provide the services. And there's no better time than right now to do that, to make sure you're prepared when everything starts back up. And making sure that you're honest in what your capabilities are with your technology. I'm gonna go down the line by saying it's much better to be honest than to lie to your customer, because at the end of the day, they're the one that's paying the bill, and they're the ones that want the service that they're requesting. So if they say, hey, this needs to be tracked, what can you do to help that happen? Don't be like, well, we have the state of the art, the best thing in the world, and then meanwhile you have glitches throughout the whole transit and it's not providing them with updates that they're wanting. So make sure you tell them, hey, you know what, we're going to track with MacroPoint, or hey, you know what, we actually do have an in-house tracking system that works A, B, and C, and it can provide A, B, and C. Another thing that you can do is just to make sure that you have all these digital tools that are out there for you. Leverage them, use them, optimize your network, and make sure that you're honest about it. So that's where I'm going with that scenario, that part. And another thing would be your relationships with your carriers and with your shippers. So first, with the carrier side, it's important to know that there's carriers of all sizes, and there's carriers that really, 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 really care about your freight. And then there's going to be carriers that could give two fucks about your freight. So make sure you know the difference between A and the difference between B, because it might come back to burn you. I know this one bald-headed broker that had some issues with a couple shipments last week, but one in particular where freight was being held hostage by a carrier from Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. Now this carrier pretty much said, well, not pretty much, it was a call directly to me, and I was actually changing a diaper at the time, and one of their dispatch members called me and said, listen, we need our money up front, and we need it before this delivers, and please let me know when it's completed. And I freaked out, because that was not in the contract. It's not in our carrier contract. It's not on the load confirmation. Nowhere does it state that we have to pay before delivery. Now, that's not how this industry works. Now, I understand there's some fees and charges, lumper fees, and air cargo charges that have to be paid, and freight forwarders are well aware of that, and freight forwarders pay, and the ones I've dealt with have been excellent. But there's certain things that, for example, freight charges, line haul charges, and whatnot, that usually can be paid through quick pay options, like 48 hours after delivery, or make arrangements with the carrier. We need this delivered. I'll try to see with my boss if we can pay this in 24 hours, or worst case scenario, I was even prepared to pay them right after the delivery if that's what it took to build the relationship. But I was not okay with them demanding this. I was not okay with them telling me they will put my freight in a warehouse unless we pay. So there goes my baby again crying in the background. But essentially, I try to mend a relationship. I try to build a relationship with this carrier. I try to give them an opportunity to succeed as pretty much, a carrier of mine. And it wasn't going anywhere because they weren't willing to commit. They weren't willing to compromise. And at the end of the day, we did cave in and give them the money before delivery. That's because that was a decision that we made internally for our customer. It's a really difficult thing to go to a customer and say, you know what, your freight is being held hostage. But we were 100% fully transparent on what the carrier was saying. We gave them exact details, exactly how they stated it. Even with detention and layover fees, we told them, this is above market value. We'll eat some of the costs, but we have to pay them because it is what it is. Like we ran into this. It's going to cost a lot more to cancel them and find someone else, and potential delays that come out of that and all of that stuff. So build that relationship with the carriers. Another thing would be with your shippers. Send out your calls and your emails when they come back up. They start ramping things up. Just say, what can we be of assistance with? What do you need us to do? Is there something we can do? The answer may be no. They may say, you know what, we'll let you know once we're ready to go. But the answer may also be yes. They may say, you know what, we might struggle with this lane. It was supposed to potentially start before the COVID-19 hit, but we had to delay everything. So, where do you guys, where can you guys be on this, or whatever the case may be? These are very simple, generic questions, but you might get complex ones. You might get people asking you for project freight that has to move. They want you to be the one to tell them what kind of trailer they need to use, or, what lanes, what routes will be taken for these project lanes, or what border crossing might be the most ideal to cross freight from US to Canada, vice versa, or Mexico, or whatever the case may be. So just build these relationships with your customers. Be honest with them. Let them know, start a conversation. Just say, how has this affected you? If you haven't done so already, you should have been a little bit ahead of the game and asked already. But in case you haven't, there's a way to do it. And last but not least, share your knowledge, your experience, good and bad, and promote yourself, your company, on the social media platforms that we have. Whether you use Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever the case may be, or all of them, just make sure you post stuff. Talk to people. Put silly videos out. I put silly videos out all the time. It doesn't have to be business related 24/7. At least that's my own personal opinion. Whether you're posting on LinkedIn or not, have a human aspect to you. Don't just be a robot. Don't talk about, statistics and ratios and percentages and not have that human aspect of you, and it's fine if that's all your content and you're known for that, and that's absolutely it, and people know that you do not post anything else. That's also fine. I mean, there's a place for everybody out there, right? But again, social media would be my last point of advice. So anyways, this video is running a little bit long. I just wanted to share that with everybody. If I missed something, just let me know. If you want to criticize me constructively, or tell me to go, stick it where the sun don't shine, you can do that as well if that's what you prefer. So anyways, I'm enjoying my cup of delicious green coffee. It's actually not green, but the cup is green. You know what I mean. Anyways, cheers, and have a good start to your new week, even though we're a little delayed because of the long weekend. And we'll talk again soon. Ciao.